going on, guys? Jack here and welcome to episode 27 of the Pentagon challenge. So yeah, I've not actually touched this save in a while yet again. If you watched the previous episode, which was a big game, I recommend you go watch it, even though the score is on screen, spoiler alert. But no, if you watch that episode, you'll know that I have been playing a lot of the Road to Glory. So, I don't know, I want to get back into this save, and this is going to mark the start of a big day for me. I'm probably going to play this for a while because it's Monday and I've got plenty of time just to play through this save. But anyway, today we've got a big league game against Chengdu Blades. Now, we played them in the previous game in the FA Cup. Today we play them in the Super League, and if we look at the league table, ourselves and Chengdu Blades are well kind of ahead of the pack, I guess. We are currently 1 point ahead of them, but we're a good 12 points ahead of any teams nearby us, that being Beijing and Shenhua. Interestingly enough, you may have read about this, you may not have done. I think Shenhua last week, they got stripped of their Chinese Super League title from 2003. Actually, can we check that? Can we check past winners? 2003 was that Shen? Yeah, 2003 Shen was. Yeah, they got the title stripped that year. So, fun fact of the day for you right there. And that only happened a few weeks ago. I read about that in the news. It was quite interesting. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. Today is a big game against Chengdu Blades. If we win it, we go 4 points clear. If we draw, we retain our point kind of advantage over them. And if we lose, they leapfrog us into first place. And since we've already played them once, it would give them kind of the, I guess, say in how our season goes. So if we win this, it just alleviates a little bit of pressure away from us winning the remaining games this season. But anywho, just a quick look at the squad. I was going to do this simply because, well, I don't know. I don't feel as if I've covered this squad since I came in that much detail. So I feel as if just kind of, I guess, rambling about what is on screen, what you can see, is probably so long overdue. So I am going to do that for a bit. I'm just sorting out our starting lineup. I tried to rotate some players here and there. You know the drill. We'll go with Tong in centre mid, Long and Jumin on the wings, Repeng. Yeah, one sec. Okay, let's have a quick overview of our team, because, I don't know, I've not done a review of this team in too much detail, so I'll do that this episode because the game's, well, there isn't any previous results to cover. So in goal we have Zhang Hao. He is China's #1 goalkeeper at national level. He has 5 caps. We have Gao Dong, who's been playing right centre-back for us. This guy is an absolute tank in the air. 6 goals this season in all competitions. Only 3 have come in the league. He's got another 2 in the Champions League, and they've been pretty big goals for us. Not the fastest defender, but he wins absolutely everything in the air. And I mean, looking at his stats, there's not many players better than him in Asia, and he's probably well, he is China's #1 centre-back. We then have Zhang Lipeng, who is China's #2 centre-back, or this guy also plays centre defensive mid for China at national level as well. He has 92 caps, he's 29 years old, very solid kind of all-round centre-back. Not the best in the air, but he's one of these players where he's kind of the jack of all trades, master of none. Solid all-round. Then we have Feng Rupeng, who is, he's not got the best mental stats, but he's the physical centre-back, the Ryan Shawcross or Robert Hoof kind of the team. You know, the player who's going to rough up the opposition. Big player, 17 strength, 19 jumping. I mean, you wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley, put it that way. But he's been really good for us this year, and he plays left centre-back for us. On the wings, we have Jumin and Long. These are both 2 very experienced wingers for China at international level. Jumin is very much a creative kind of winger. 31, getting on a little bit, but still retaining physical stats, which has meant that he's been able to have a good run at right mid. And Zheng Long on the left, a really good player for us. 30 years old himself, not the youngest player, although that said, he has only just turned 30. Probably 2 or 3 seasons still left in him. 45 caps for China. As you can see, just a very good all-round kind of centre-back. Poor in the air and defensively, but that really doesn't matter when you're bombing it up the wings. And then in the centre of midfield, we have Chung Won-hee, who is a young, well, not young, very old South Korean centre mid, retiring at the end of the year, but very good kind of defensively and with his mental stats, really solid in the centre for us. And when he's paired alongside Wang Tong, who came in for 6 million this season, he's China's #1 kind of centre mid at the moment. He wasn't cheap, but looking at his stats, he's a very kind of complementary player with his high speed, creativity, and more kind of attacking kind of, I guess, midfield stats. Very solid player for us. And he's played very well since he came in. He wasn't cheap, but he's averaged a rating of 7.43 in the league. When you're averaging that in the league, you know, £6.5 million, at least in my opinion, well spent, to be honest, to get him in. And then up front, our first choice strikers have been Hunso and Zeus. Long-term fans of the series know all about these guys. I rambled so much about these guys back in the day, a few seasons ago. Hunso last year was top goal scorer in the Chinese Super League at Beijing IT with me. He won Foreign Player of the Year and Players Player of the Year. The guy's an absolute tank. How he's not represented South Korea at national level, I'm not entirely sure yet. That said, I was watching the Fin Means Win. If you know the Fins Means Win, he's doing a Pentagon challenge, not dissimilar to mine, and he has a lot of South Korean players going on military service, and Hunso hasn't gone on military service yet, and it didn't even cross my mind until I watched his live stream the other day. But if he goes on military service, I'm going to cry, because South Korean players can do that. But anyway, Hunso on the left centre of attack, very pacey player, and then Zeus playing on the left, big old target man up top, insane stats, 19 strength, 15 jumping, 13 heading. I mean, you can't argue with those stats. The guy is not going to get like out-muscled in the air, Girl Zeus. Been an absolute tank for us. And then at centre attacking mid, we have Giovanni Monrio. This guy's been another really good player for us this year. Pretty old, but he's still got maybe 1 season left in him. His contract does run out at the end of the year, and I may well just not renew it because, I don't know, I had 5 international players when I came to the squad. You're only allowed 5 foreign players in your entire squad. And of those 5 players, they were all above the age of 29 or above. I managed to get rid of one of them in the transfer window when I first came to the club, so I was able to bring in Hunso from Beijing IT. And I was left with Monrio, Conker, Barrios, and Chung Won-hee, and these are all very kind of old players. They're players who, I don't know, they're not good enough really. So fortunately for me, all their contracts run out at the end of this season. They're all very old players. Barrios, Won-hee, and Conker are all retiring anyway, and Monrio's contract runs out. So if we struggle this year in the Champions League, which I mean we are in the knockout stages, so it has kind of come to my attention, like planning ahead for potentially leaving the country at the end of the year. But if we don't, and I'm here for another season, I've got potentially 4 foreign player slots to fit in, and you'll notice, I guess looking at the squad, I've tried not to, I guess, rely on the foreign players. That's why I've brought in so many Chinese national players and very young national players where possible. But anyway, I've rambled a lot about the squad this episode. Let's crack straight on with this episode. That was just kind of a brief kind of, I guess, synopsis of our starting 11. Startup disc is almost full. Let's just go on anyway. So it's a big game today against Chengdu Blades. Hopefully we can give a good performance here. They're a very good team. We are favourites going into this game, so looking for the team to give a good performance. Our 3-4-1-2 has worked really well for us this season. I haven't really covered the tactics either. I will do that next episode for you guys. But no, I've been using a 3-4-1-2. It's been very effective for us against teams. I don't know. I was playing, if you watch the very first episode of the season, you'll know that I started off with a very kind of dubious, I guess, tactic, and it didn't really work for us. So I mixed things up. I went a little bit more conservative rather than going gung-ho. I think we're still averaging like 2.7 goals a game, so you know we're good. Looks switched off, passionate. Lots come from you. That did not work. Calm. You know what to do. Okay, I'm just screwing things up. Let's just stop. At least Hunso and Zeus reacted positively. I mean, those two up front, I ranted and raved at Beijing about how good they were together. In terms of complementing each other, very often, well, put it this way, you don't want 2 strikers who do the exact same job, do you? It's like, I don't know, you have a target man and then you've got your pacey forward, whereas, for example, at Liverpool they have Suarez and Sturridge, and Suarez is very much a creative player who needs space to operate in, but if he finds that space he's going to pick out a pass and he can just have that moment of excellence, whereas Sturridge likes to hang on the shoulder of the last kind of man, really kind of force the defence back and run at them with the ball, and his pace is always kind of I guess a factor in the back of the defence's head when they come up against him, and what he's able to do is create space for Suarez to operate and vice versa. And I don't know, I feel as if with, oh, what a finish by Zhu-Min, as I start rambling. Screw me talking about the attackers. Zhu-Min on the right wing has been an absolute tank. But no, what I was basically saying is with strikers, it's nice to have kind of a target man and a poacher, or an all-round forward and a poacher. Two players who basically can work off each other and complement each other's styles of play, rather than having two strikers who play the exact same. I guess not a bad example would be Demba Ba and Torres. I don't feel as if those two players can play alongside each other. I feel as if they're very kind of similar players. I feel as if the only really reason... Hunso with the header there. He's not known for his heading, Hunso, but you'll take that one. But no, what I was saying was basically, like with Ba and Torres, Bar's coming to Chelsea, and I don't think he's a long-term kind of thing because they've got Lukaku and players like that. Lukaku are very powerful forward, but Demba Ba is very much the player that Torres was at a very cheap price, and I feel as if that's why Chelsea bought him in. I can't see him being a very long-term player for them, more than 2 or 3 seasons at that. Whereas they've got Lukaku, and I can imagine Lukaku playing very well with Torres, just because Torres is kind of traditional Spanish number 10, and Zeus, what are you doing with that header? What a beast. What a beast. 3-0 against Chengdu. What am I on about? I can't even remember now. I'm just rambling about the fact that Torres is a traditional Spanish number 10 and Lukaku's a very kind of powerful forward who got good physical presence in the air, and they'll play off each other, I think, in the future. But anyway, let's just crack on here. Let me talk about the game for the last 2 seconds as we win 3-0 against Chengdu. Wow, we drew with them 0-0 in the previous episode, and if you saw that, I was pretty disappointed. That's a very good win for us, with Hunter and Zeus getting on the score sheet as well as Zhu-Min. Zeus gaining the Man of the Match award, and looking at the stats, we absolutely dominated. 4 points clear with 11 games left. League title is ours to lose now. But anyway, guys, I've rambled for long enough this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed my small ramble about real life football stuff. I am kind of playing around with the idea of maybe doing some, I don't know, not vlogs, but maybe talking over some FIFA or something, just talking about what's going on in football, my thoughts on, I guess, how the game's changing, that kind of stuff. If you'd be interested in seeing that, maybe leave that in the comments. It's hard for me to talk about stuff like that over Football Manager because, as I've shown this episode, I can't cover the game and talk about stuff in depth at the same time. It just doesn't work. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. It's me, Jack, and I'm out. I'll talk to you guys in a bit.